The following is a transcript of a conversation between Matías De Stefano, referred to as me, and his higher self, referred to as I am. It is dated 20th of September 2020, and the subject is the emotional aspect of the knees in the constellation of Virgo. Me. When we talk about denying, a question that arises is, how do I know what it is that I am denying? Because precisely, if I deny it, it is because I'm not seeing it, or I do not recognize it, which makes it difficult for me to see clearly. I am. This is why the universe has the natural system of mirrors. Do you remember what you studied in biology about enantiomers? Me. They're mirrored molecules with exactly the same position as the atoms that form them, but just the other way around, in a mirrored way. One is called molecule L and the other molecule D. One is biologically active and useful, and the other is not, just the opposite. So it's important to differentiate one from the other, since one can harm you and the other can help you. It's almost like an organic trap. I am. What you deny and what you affirm are usually the enantiomers of the soul. They are the same, but mirrored, and precisely because they are so similar to what you say, you don't see them clearly, because it's like a mirror, where you recognize yourself and say, "It is me," when in reality, you're completely upside down. Me. That is to say that to recognize what I deny, I only have to see what is directly opposite me, and there I can see my reflection, which does not mean that it is my opposite, but complementary. I am. Or worse yet, you see him so much the same as you that you don't realize what you deny in your life. This usually happens with most relationships. Many couples are the exact opposite of each other, but just being so different makes them look like mirrors, which gives the feeling that they are the same. Thus, many couples live a toxic or sick life, almost parasitic, for considering being with an equal, when in reality they are only with their opposite. Denial. Me. It happened to me. I am. I know. Me. So what you have to learn to do more than anything else is to identify correctly. I am. That's where we had to get to identify. This verb comes from the Latin idem, which means equal and the same, and the suffix ficar or fi in English, which refers to do or put, that is, do the same. What it suggests is being able to find the similarities rather than the differences. We tend to put negations in the mental folder of differences or opposites, when in reality, what we deny are the enantiomers of our way of life, what we believe is useless for our lives, but that share 100% of the same content as shape our life. This is how the concept identity arises, that is to say, idem, the same, and entity, being. Identity refers to what I assimilate as my own being, where I recognize what is similar and make it my own. Identity is related to personality attributes. Me. So instead of looking for what I deny in the external things that I reject, I will find it in the things that I consider part of me and that I accept or recognize in myself. It's the opposite of what I would have thought. I am. Because humans still believe that the universe is dual, thinking that two forces that have never been seen meet in the middle of nowhere, and they are called good and evil, God and the devil, positive and negative. Well, no. They are the same molecule, arising from the same essence and atoms, simply arranged in the form of a mirage. Me, like the knees. Both are the same, and yet to move forward, one must exert force and pressure backwards to support the weight of the body, while the other becomes flexible and subtly rises to take a step towards the future. I am. Exactly. The leg that supports the weight behind is the one that initially will hurt. It will feel the weight of history, the pain of the past. It will become the idea of the rigid and structural, and perhaps my mind sees it as an anchor in the density that pulls me into the shadows, while the other will be associated with progress, lightness, subtlety, ascension and evolution, with the light and divine. But one without the other makes us remain stable, without movement. When your attention is focused on the forward leg, consider the one left behind as the past to deny, something that does not belong on your path to transformation and awareness. But nevertheless, what you are denying is what has given you the firmness to be able to lift the other leg. Thus, what you consider to be the opposite of your impulse. Me. How could I understand? I am. For example, in history, there would have been no scientific advancement and development of the arts and sciences without the suppression of religion. The driving force of the past concepts of religion and spirituality allowed a revolution of frustrated minds that prompted the search for new forms, and began the advance of the last 5 centuries, not to mention the last 2. Science and free thought denied religion, and that was their breakthrough. But precisely denying it and not recognizing it as that pillar has turned science into a new faith that is largely positioned as religion, defending its irrefutable scientific arguments. Enantiomers of civilization. But in a family, the same thing happens. When you deny the attributes of a mother or a father, and you refuse to be like them, by not seeing and recognizing it in time, you end up identifying with their ways of being. That is, you imitate them by reflex, and it becomes a part of you, a part that you cannot see because you are rejecting. So, take a good look at what you reject in your life, analyze it, and you will see in it the similarities with you. Me. My identity is made up of all the positive and negative mirrors in my life. In other words, to recognize many of the things that I cannot see, I have to revive them. Could this be something like a family constellation? I am. This artistic and theatrical role therapy, as well as psychomagic, is one of the ways in which, in a practical and conscious way, you can see and analyze precisely everything that you deny or cannot see. Putting yourself in the shoes of all the agents in your family will allow you to see the patterns in common. Always start with what is closest to you, with your earthly family, parents, uncles, grandparents, and identify what emotions and feelings you relate to them. Me. Is it homework? I am. Yes. Write down the question, what emotions do I identify in my family? And below, make a list for your mother, another for your father, and one for each close member of your family with whom you relate directly. Uncles, grandparents, siblings. When you write down all the emotions that you recognize in them, see if the emotions that you deny in yourself are there. Me. I made the lists, and something caught my attention. There are some words that are repeated in almost everyone. Resentment and prejudice. I do not feel both concepts in me. I always denied having them. Even my friends and close ones often tell me that I am the least spiteful person they know because I forgive instantly. And it is because of this that I have no prejudices, because I do not get defensive before a possible repetition of the same. However, when I saw that these words were repeated in all my relatives, I began to notice that it was something that I denied. And I realized that in a certain way, this was in me. And that by denying him, the only thing I was doing was becoming naive. Someone who doesn't remember and doesn't correct his mistakes. Also, I could see that in order not to hold grudges, I preferred to forget or get away from people, because if I saw them again, I would act as if nothing had happened. That is to say, that what in them was an impediment and defense in life that seems absurd to me had become insecurity in me. It was the same emotion or feeling, only mirrored. I am. So now you understand that being aware of this, the reason why you denied it in yourself is for fear of becoming them and repeating the same thing. And accepting it does not mean that you will become spiteful or prejudiced, but that you will know how to take the positive from these aspects, to be more careful in your life and to be more judicious. Me. I understand. I am. For this reason, to identify is to recognize your identity. Biologically, the identity is anchored in the anus, since it is where the human settles or affirms in a place. Seat. Put your ass on the chair. Assert yourself. Don't touch my ass. They broke my ass. Excuse the word. Are all expressions related to how important identity is for people and how fragile it is. For this reason, in a matter of identity and recognition, humans position themselves in denial and defensiveness. What they say about you, what you don't see about yourself, is all in the reflections of what you do see about yourself or in others. Observe what you see in others and pay attention to what others see in you. So you will see your reflections. You will know that even if you don't want it, the idea that others project about you has armed your current identity. Me. So, what you just said makes me think about something. Normally in the spiritual and consciousness paths, it is often said that no one can determine what we are, that we must focus on ourselves, not look outside, and discover everything inside us. And you're telling me just the opposite. How would that be? I am. Enantiomers of consciousness. What spirituality does is basically the following example. You have a dirty house. The floor is full of garbage and dust, but instead of seeing where the scattered garbage is, you make an altar for the broom and contemplate it and meditate in front of it, smiling, thinking the following: if I am a broom, there will be no garbage. You understand? Me. Ha ha ha. Yes, good example. In other words, it's good to know that it is the broom that will allow me to clean the floor, but to clean it, I have to identify where the dust is. I am. And the dust, my friend, came from you and from all those around you, because the dust is nothing more than dead skin cells, that is, from your genetics, from yours and from those who are in your life. Therefore, analyze who you invite to your house, who lives with you, what they leave in you, on your floor, in your life, and you will see the mirror of what you accept in it. Who you let into your house is because you accept him, and he is the same one who brings the dust that one day you will have to clean. No one is separate. You cannot say that this is only your inner work, because the outer is part of you too. Before you close your eyes and look at the dust that you hid under the rug of your subconscious, you have to look at the dust scattered around you on the floor of your unconscious. The broom is the conscious, but do not make an altar for it. Me. Understood. I am. Identify. Evaluate your identity. Recognize the mirrors of your environment. Write the emotional and sentimental roles of those closest and linked to you, and there observe what you cannot see in yourself. Me. My identity is made up of what I identify with and its mirrors. I am. Well, if everything is one, the polarities are not different from each other, but identical.